they used to have some funny cartoons, but like
Mhm.
they found their lane and they're wildly successful
Mhm.
because they do that thing, and everybody understands that's what they do.
Other age-old examples of this, Michelin Stars, that's
Yep.
content marketing,
Huge.
baby. That's content marketing, and you can use the exact same principle in your town. Michelin Stars, but you're just honoring other people that have done good stuff. They were the that's still the tire company from back in the
Yeah.
day, right? And they have
Mhm.
this high-end restaurant thing because if people knew about great restaurants, they'd travel
Drive
to
to
them on
yeah.
hopefully Michelin tires, right? And they realized that just selling tires was kind of boring and they could also do this, you know. They also have a mascot and they're, they do other great things in marketing, right? But and then the other one that I think, age-old content marketing example, Guinness, Book of World Records.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
That's content, baby.
Yeah.
And that's not like in a way that's bigger than the beer. In
Mhm.
a way that's like we're associating the best in the world at everything with one brand
That's really
that's
good
not
beer.
outside the box. So like continuing like the tradition of Red Bull and Michelin and Guinness to come up with what's your thing. I think we all have an opportunity to find our thing. And it doesn't have to be like anybody else. Those are all three wildly different examples, but they're associating in the theme is a little bit they're associating themselves with greatness. And you can do that too. And I think that
Yeah.
that is at its best what content marketing does. And like,
Something
yeah,
bigger than just your business and what you do day
yeah,
to day.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Love that. Well, that was all gold. I do have one more question. It's a little bit of a turn. We're getting a little
Sweet.
bit more tactical here, but it's something that
Yes.
I really wanted to ask you because I don't think this is something you're probably going to get asked on any other podcast. It's just we have a unique scenario here with me having the background that I have in
Yes.
marketing as well. Um, at Proline, we see a lot of people's websites because we're getting connected for speed to lead. There's changes that have to be made to get approved for phone carrier registrations for ATP, make sure phones don't have that spam likely label. So we know how to avoid all that. We do end up looking at people's websites a lot.
Mhm.
And the websites typically fall into three categories. One, well maintained, all the most recent updates, site's good to go. That's probably the least common one, but we do see that. The second one is one where we get the login to the website, or we try not to log in. If we can, we try to go through somebody else, but this is usually a company, they don't have anyone managing their website, no one
Mhm.
helping whatsoever. And we get logged in and there's like 29, 20, 35 updates pending.
Mhm.
And it's obvious that no one's logged into this site in 2 to 3
Mhm.
years, right? So we see that. And then the last one, which is the most frustrating one to me with the background that I have, is we log into a site, and this site is a site that the company is paying can you guys still hear me? I feel like I cut out
Mhm.
there for a
Yep.
second. Okay.
We're listening.
Where the roofing company is paying an agency or a consultant monthly $500, $700, $1,000 a month to manage their website, and you log in and there's still 35 updates pending, and it's still obvious that no one's logged into this site in 2 years, despite the fact that they're paying monthly for this service.
Mhm.
What is your, like, keeping all that in mind, what is your advice to roofing companies just when it comes to website maintenance? Like, what is website maintenance? Why is it important? And how
Yeah.
do you avoid getting kind of screwed over and just draining money for someone to do nothing?
Yeah. Website maintenance, like you're saying, is kind of you make sure that you're updating plugins on a regular basis. If you don't update plugins, for instance, on a lot of websites, one day you'll just try to go to your website and it'll just be like the white screen of death or whatever on WordPress people. So those things happen. And so we're just trying to avoid it. And like the other thing is security. So if you don't kind of make these updates regularly, if there's not something going on there, then sometimes you can get hacked. And I'm not gonna lie, that hurts really bad. And I've been hacked, and we've had clients hacked, right? Like, and it's a little bit more common. I'm not gonna say we've never had somebody that was on maintenance or something like that get hacked, because it's still possible, but it's just more likely if everything's out of date. You know what I mean? Like if you're not regularly maintaining a website, because the technology advances. Like even if all your plugins just automatically updated, which some hosts do that, WP Engine is one. It's just sometimes there's little nuances that you have to get through, but there's also the with the PHP updates, and I like sorry to go technical for a second, but PHP is like the language, one of the languages that WordPress website coding languages that WordPress is built on. And they update it, like the internet updates, like to the point where over years, especially when you're talking about like 3-5 years plus. And that's kind of my recommendation as far as like a rhythm on to actually redesign your website. So this year, Hook is getting to 3-year period for our website. So we're going to probably update it. I think 5 years for a roofing company makes a lot of sense. I'm not trying to be like wild or anything like that. But even ours, there's so much technically going on that like the back end, like the speed and stuff like that, it starts to like kind of creep down because you're adding like a new tool, right? You're adding some other new tool or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. But like if you add 20 new plugins and it just kind of gets bloated, or like, that's why every once in a while you should just kind of like build it fresh. And the code base is fresh. I think that that's good. I'll say 5 years. I know everyone's going to be annoyed with even that, the 5 years thing. For us, we do that every 3 years. And I've got things on my site, like with page speed, that have been like, we have a lot of videos, we have a lot of images that get kind of like run down. The other thing is tweaking like caching. So like WP Fastest Cache is an example of a WordPress caching plugin. I think like even just going in and testing your site speed every once in a while, and then like tweaking your settings on your fastest cache or your other caching plugins, it's really over time sites get slower and they just get a little bit more rundown. So that's where it's like taking the time to actually do that stuff can help you not get hacked, make sure that the site is not slow. And then ultimately the other thing is content, right? AJ, like if you've got new team members and you've got a team member section, or you've got, just make sure stuff is working. It's like it's images and text and stuff like that, just to make sure it's accurate, right? You want to make sure it's accurate currently to what your company's doing. And I think even after a year or two, you should be updating content just to make sure that everything's solid. I recommend that everyone logs into their website at least every couple months and just make sure everything's accurate. And no one is going to care about, it's just a little bit more complex because John's a current client of ours, and I don't want to, I'm going to challenge the audience. John, you just don't think about whether I'm talking to you or not. Like this is to anyone who has an agency, like no one cares about your marketing as much as you do. No offense, no matter how much money you're giving them. You care more about your marketing than anyone outside of the company. And it should be that way. You should care. So even if you have a company, looking at stuff, making sure it's fresh, making sure it feels accurate to what your company is doing, and caring, letting yourself care as much as you do, and making sure that like it's freshened up occasionally. Like you should freshen it up.